We've made videos about a lot of NIST frameworks in this channel, like NIST CSF, NIST CSF 2.0, NIST 853, 871, and so many more. But there's one NIST framework we never really spoke about, the NIST Privacy Framework. And since there's an updated version of the framework coming out soon, Privacy Framework 1.1, we thought it'd be a good time to revisit it. We'll talk about what it is, why it's important, what you can expect from 1.1 over the next couple of months, and how to implement the NIST Privacy Framework for your organization. Let's start off with the what. The NIST Privacy Framework was launched in early 2020 and its full title, A Tool for Improving Privacy Through Enterprise Risk Management, while it's succinct, isn't really the most accessible way to understand what's happening behind the scenes. Consider the following. Amidst the threat landscape of today, data privacy is about as important as it's ever been. Think of all the kinds of cyber attacks happening: malware, phishing, DDoS, ransomware, and so much more. According to a report by Cohesity, nearly 80% of all respondents admitted to their company being a victim of ransomware attacks in just the second half of 2023, with over 96% of respondents saying that the threat of cyber attacks in their industry will increase in 2024. Governments across the world, in response to the overwhelming personal and business costs to society from these attacks, have tried to step in to help resolve this. However, the growing complexity and number of global and US state privacy laws has made it more difficult for enterprises to manage privacy protection rather than less. There's a desperate need for a centralized set of guidelines to help organizations manage privacy risks that come from the collection, use, storage, and sharing of personal information. And enter NIST Privacy Framework. Using a thorough risk and outcome-based approach, the framework aims to be a unified and flexible solution to address a diverse range of enterprise privacy needs. In essence, implementing the NIST Privacy Framework properly means that you'll embed the best practices of data privacy in your day-to-day operations, and as a result, should mean that you're in compliance with a whole range of laws and guidelines from across the world. The Privacy Framework was built in line with its more popular older brother, the NIST CSF document, which recently saw its own update with CSF 2.0. This was a deliberate choice by NIST, since they wanted to enable the two frameworks to be used together easily. Privacy Framework even has the same basic components as CSF, being broken down into three parts: the core, profiles, and implementation tiers. The core component details privacy activities such as data processing, de-identification, and security, while educating organizations on how they can align their privacy goals with their overall missions. There's 5 functions in the core: identify, govern, control, communicate, and protect. The profiles component helps these organizations thereafter prioritize their privacy objectives, identify gaps, and develop strategies for continuous improvement. There's 2 kinds of profiles: target and current profiles. The implementation tiers finally allow organizations to assess their capabilities and set privacy goals against those capabilities. There are 4 distinct tiers: partial, risk-informed, repeatable, and adaptive, with adaptive being the strongest and partial being the weakest. So, the basics of Privacy Framework considered, let's ask the important question. What are the benefits of the NIST Privacy Framework? The first benefit is simply risk mitigation. By being cognizant of your privacy risks, you can undertake appropriate measures to prevent data breaches or privacy violations. That, in turn, has trickle-down benefits, the 3 notable ones being 1, more trust. Customers don't like to work with companies that suffer breaches and attacks. According to a report by Pokera, 66% of customers would not trust a company that falls victim to a data breach. The second benefit of mitigation is fewer fines. Companies that suffer privacy violations open themselves up to a litany of lawsuits from users and regulatory bodies, costing up to hundreds of millions of dollars. The third benefit is a better corporate reputation. A better privacy posture opens the doors for you to work and partner with more companies. Inversely, it is harder for a company that is routinely breached to build those strategic collaborations with other companies. There are other benefits of the Privacy Framework too, like improved efficiency as a result of streamlined internal communication and processes, increased sales by way of fewer security questionnaires, and even lesser volatility and better future-proofing in the face of changing technologies, regulations, and threats. So, what can we expect out of the Privacy Framework's next update, 1.1? Typically, predicting the contents of an update to any framework involves a lot of guesswork and postulation. But luckily for us, we can be a lot more specific. Like I mentioned earlier, Privacy Framework is modeled on the latest version of CSF, which at the time was 1.1. Since then, though, NIST has launched CSF 2.0, so we know what the next version of Privacy Framework will look like. Additionally, after years of organizations using the Privacy Framework, NIST has also internally identified areas where targeted improvements can be made. The biggest change to CSF 2.0 was the introduction of the govern function, which was seen as a way to tie the other 5 functions together and emphasize the importance of an organization's people, processes, and technology needed to make good cybersecurity possible. Quoting Dylan Gilbert, a privacy policy advisor at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, in talking with stakeholders, we realized that data governance is the starting point for many organizations seeking to glean the benefits of data processing while managing privacy, cybersecurity, and AI. A joint profile for data governance could be a way to effectively demonstrate complementary use of NIST frameworks and resources. This profile could take many forms, such as a flowchart or a crosswalk amongst various NIST framework subcategories. We plan to leverage the Privacy Framework 1.1 update process to develop the profile as many of the same stakeholders will be involved. 1.1 is under development and will likely come out by early 2025, and you can contribute to it by participating in the Privacy Framework Workshop. You'll find links to the Privacy Framework resources in the links in the description below. So, how do you implement the NIST Privacy Framework for your organization? Implementing the framework can be summarized as a 5-step process. 1. Identifying and mapping personal data you collect. 2. Conducting privacy impact assessments or PIAs. 3. Developing privacy policies and procedures. 4. Implementing privacy controls. And 5. Providing privacy training to all your employees. The second way to implement NIST Privacy Framework is compliance automation. Sprinto helps thousands of companies leverage compliance automation across several frameworks: NIST CSF, NIST 853, SOC 2, ISO 27001, and more, so that companies can get compliant faster, easier, and more inexpensively. Continuous monitoring by Sprinto's centralized dashboard means that you stay compliant too, all year round, not just during an audit cycle. To know more, visit sprinto.com or book a demo with one of our NIST experts using the link in the description below. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.